coverage, A and B or C? Well, you have to first answer the question, what is Medicare coverage, to be able to answer that question. And in today, I hope to answer that question so that you can make informed and educated decisions about your Medicare choices. So I asked my clients and my friends on Facebook what they thought of when they heard good medical coverage. And a lot of them said access to my doctors, knowing that my insurance will pay. Some just said having insurance was really good, and they were happy that they had something. But what if that's something you can't even use, right? What if all the coverage in the world you had, but you had no access, and they didn't approve any services? So when you think about Medicare and medical insurance, for that fact, if you're not on Medicare yet, how do you get the best coverage? What is that? Well, to me, it breaks down into two core activities. That is, seeing a doctor, right? And getting the service that the doctor wants for you paid for. So now that we have those two metrics, if you disagree and you think coverage is something else, please let me know in the comments down below. Maybe I'm just articulating it poorly. But to me, someone who's been in the medical insurance space for now 10 years, when I think about coverage, I think about those two things. Because that is the activities that my insurance is meant to protect me, or to at least provide me some kind of coverage for. Paying for doctor visits, who I can see, and paying for the services that that doctor orders. Tests, labs, any kind of treatment, medication. We'll get into medication later. But for the most part, those are the two things. Now, when it comes to Medicare, Medicare has a whole slew of services that Medicare A and B cover. And when you look at Medicare A and B from the federal government, they have a long list of stuff that are medically necessary, and if are medically necessary, any doctor can prescribe them. The Medicare actual network is not really much of a network, but just a group of physicians who agree to Medicare's payment reimbursement terms. That includes over 90% of all the physicians in the US, right? So that's A and B. So when we're making a decision on A and B or C, which we're going to call Medicare Advantage, or I like to call them Medicare Alternatives, well, let's take a look at C. So on the A and B side, we have about 90% access to all physicians and no referrals required. Okay, it's pretty good. It's a nice kicker in there because there's no network, right? So we don't got to worry. Now on C, when it comes to Medicare coverage, doctors, Part C plans have a network, whether it be an HMO or PPO. So the HMO, you can only see contracted providers. If you see anybody else, or if you don't get the referral, you could be looking at paying 100% of that cost. Now with a PPO, you have the choice of going out of the network. But every single time you go out of the network, the physician who is out of the network has a choice to see you or not. He or she can say, I don't like that plan, and therefore I'm not taking it. And even if they do take it, they can charge you up to 50%, and each, in fact, plan has regulations around how much they'll pay. Doctors know this, and that's why they're probably not in the network. So that's Part C when it comes to access of coverage, right? Who you can see. To me, that's access, right? Where can I go? Next, services approvals. Medicare and B, they have really no insurance company to monitor any of these things. So there's no utilization management, no peer-to-peer, nobody to talk to if the doctor orders something that they really shouldn't, or that they really, that's really expensive. Because Medicare A and B, they don't really have that oversight in them. Their operational costs are like 2%, right? They just have whoever talk to enroll them in A or B and B, process the paperwork. That's about it. Now, there are some services on A and B that require prior authorization, or at least a more stringent form of just, this is what I need, give it to me. But that list is very small. What about the Part C side? All right, so Part C, about 99% of all Medicare Part C plans have prior authorization on many of the services, not limited to referrals, chemotherapy, physical therapy, skilled nursing, and practically any hospitalization. Kind of hard to use. So on the services side, Part C plans are not that good. If you ever had to go through and see if your insurance would pay for something, and you're on Medicare, you're probably on one of these guys. And what that does is it can delay services, can also off-put you into not paying, not going because you have to wait so long, right? In a recent study, came out in 2023, it found that about 2 years ago in 2021, about 6% of all prior authorizations were denied. 6%. Doesn't seem like a lot until you're one of the 6 people out of the 100 that got their service denied. And that's not to mention a lot of the services that probably weren't even requested because the physician knew that the service would be ultimately denied. So that's one thing with Part C. Now that kind of ends coverage for me. And if you have any questions about Medicare coverage or you didn't understand the way that I presented this information, please let me know so that I can explain it better next time, as I really am trying to get this information out there so that everyone really knows how to kind of build their decision-making framework when making decisions on Medicare. You guys have a great rest of the day, and I hope to see you in the next video.